right, well, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm Michele Pollard. I'm the archivist. I have been here since January of 2021, and I've seen some of you in the archive. When COVID hit, yeah. So for a while, I was the only person in the building, which was a big adjustment. But
You got used to working alone.
I did. But I never felt like I was alone. That's the weird part. But so yeah, and like until probably this spring and summer, I really just felt kind of overwhelmed by all the stuff in here. Because I felt like I didn't like have a whole handle on it because it's just a lot.
What's your background?
Well, library science. So I have an MLIS, but I was just drawn to archives, and so I focused on that. I have a master in communications as well. I was an English major in college, and I have a little bit of a technical. I have some confidence with technology. I don't have any degrees, but. So that's pretty much my background. I graduated in like 2014. I worked for Target for a bit in their archive. And I stopped doing that because it's just a closed archive, right? Nobody accesses it except for Target, and not a lot of Target people do. And I just felt like I was just really cold every day, and I wasn't helping anybody, you know. So I thought I thought there was something better. So yeah, I processed here in 2020, and then I came to work as the archivist in 2021. So yeah, that's my story. And I just, before we kind of get into slides, I want to just get an idea of what you all, what's your perception of archives in general? Like when you hear archives, what do you think?
A great thing.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of paper that I should have filed or done something with
Yeah.
years ago, but it seems to still be important enough to have it in a box.
Yeah.
So what do you do with it, and how do you analyze it? I mean, how do you determine importance?
Yeah, that's exactly, that's the tough part. To answer your question kind of broadly, it's whatever is really important to you, you know? Whatever is worth keeping, that's what you go after.
I want to come at it from the other end. I'm the user.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go find out what really went on back in 1963.
Yeah. Yeah, from a personal standpoint, I think that does, that is the crux. You know, you have to decide what's really important. And from a research standpoint, you are challenged to find the right institution that aligns with your, with your project, right? Which brings me to kind of the first slide here, because I did an assessment recently of our collection, and this is how I don't feel quite so overwhelmed. But I used our mission as a guide. Our mission is to preserve and explore history, creating spaces where communities' stories can be told. And using this as a guide to go through all the items in our collection, my challenge was to kind of drill down to find things that were specific to this mission. So our mission translated to this image for me, right? We're trying to boldly go where small archives have not gone before. So we've got our director, right hand person there, 3D collections, this is our small crew. At first I had names up here, but I took those off because, but I think it works. It works. I mean, they're trying to explore, they're trying to help people. They're bound by, by rules and standards. I think that's us. But we've got some issues. We've got issues of space. We've got a small staff, and issues of relevancy. And we'll get to relevancy later. But I brought this box out. This box of, excuse me, just walking in front of the camera. Box of special documents out to just get some opinions and to use as an example of what my challenge was for this assessment. But these all seem like issues of balance or imbalance, right? We've got space, we have lack of space, but the space is being taken up by things that might not align with our mission anymore. Staff, that is kind of a balance issue too. We just don't have enough. And relevancy, like I said, the stuff that doesn't align. But the bright side is we've got some good stuff. And we have some pretty unique material. This is just a photo to represent the idea, but it happens to be the Union City mission. And just that light coming through there was it made me, and the light in the foreground, right? There's a little bit of a silver lining there. So we have good stuff. We have a good reputation. I've made a printout of just our finding aid for archives, and it is totally an overview, but we might have too many pages there. There we go. Can you pass? Yeah, please. My fingers are not working. Pass those, thank you. That's an extra on the end. I think there you go. There's just two pages, front and back, and then one side. Okay, thanks. All right, do you have a cover? Do you have the cover page? Okay, sorry. Okay, so this is just a broad overview of what we've got. You can look through that in your own time and just use as a reference. But this is the result of the assessment, right? So over a course of like 6 months, 5 months, went through 428 collections, 125 album and scrapbook collections, and some backlog. So we're full up. I said all that to say that we are full up. Now and again, it does have to align with our mission and vision. Question, were you about to, yes?
Is there any one thing or family or component that aligns with your mission that you really want, but you haven't gotten yet? So if you could address the process about how you obtain your collection.
Yeah.
Wherever that fits in your presentation.
Right. Well, that's something that we are leaning toward, is actually like going out and, curating archives. We're not there yet, but I think, but yes, we want to fill gaps. Yeah, but it may take funding, it may take money. I mean, could take more staff to do that. I mean, it could be me, but then work's not getting done here. So that is a whole project in itself. I mean, it's a whole initiative to go out and get stuff. Right now, we've always taken things by donation.
So I want to know what your filter is, because my wife was very active in AEW.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I know they pulled together stuff that they wanted to donate, and you didn't want their stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Down to the Hennepin County Special Collections.
Yep.
So why didn't you want? I'm not trying to.
No, I get it. I get it. I get it. So.
And then since some of the stuff that is relevant to Hennepin County,
Mm-hmm.
Minneapolis, but only Minneapolis out of here.
Yeah.
How do you? Are you connected to the special Hennepin County and then to you enough so that people who go to one place, here's where you need to go.
Yep. Yep. We're trying to get that. We're trying to get that figured out. Actually, what our relationship is with Hennepin County Special Collections. So, with respect to AA, with the Women's Association, we do have some records already in our collection, and their initiative was really a digital one. We advised that they work on funding to digitize their collection. There's no way that we have space to take on their attic because it was massive. Yeah, it was very big. So yeah, that was what we recommended, was digitization. Yeah, we're kind of off track, but that's cool. I mean, we could do this all morning. So yeah, we did this assessment, and we found what was in our collection. But how do we fix it? How do we find out where we are, and how do we determine where to go? So the assessment showed us that more than 95% of our collections reflected European Americans, and Hennepin County is not 95% European American. Our collection looks like this on the inside, but the county looks like that, and so we were missing. We've been challenged for many years to fill gaps, and we want to better represent the community that we serve. So, and apparently, and this is evidence that we're not doing it right now. So if we want to archive an inclusive history in an effort to create spaces where community stories can be told, right, which is part of our mission, then we would do well to be purposeful and intentional to make this vision materialize. So we have to interact with our communities, and we interact with them through history, right? So if we're doing that, we need to make space for that community's history. So I think we would do well to broaden our perspective of what archives are. To be more inclusive, they're not just, archives are paper and boxes, but it's a little bit more than that. It can be more. That's what I'm positing, is that it can be more than paper and boxes. And we want to empower communities with their histories. And I'm suggesting that something called community archivism is a way to do that. And so I don't think that this is something new. I think community archivism has, seeds in the personal diary, the scrapbook, the wiki. We're reacting to our surroundings, right, with these tools, and essentially, I think that's what the archive can. The holdings represent that, right? A wiki, it's just a list of stuff. I mean, imagine like Wikipedia, right? It's just, it's a list of content, really. It's kind of hard to explain. There are lots of like note apps that you just kind of put in. You might use like markdown symbols to say, this is a heading, and then whatever you have your heading, and then the content goes under there, and you have a symbol for another heading, and it's just this list of things that might be meaningful to you. Twitter, right? The Library of Congress archives Twitter. They've got it all. This Facebook became kind of a personal archive for people. You shared your life away, but it is a personal archive. And Instagram as well. And I would argue that social media has brought on this interest or desire to preserve community around us. So we see what we have in common with other people, and sometimes that thing that's in common is nothing more than your location, but we can agree on it, right? So community archivism might be personal archives meets community. So it's a combination of personal archivism and community seeking. So there's this website called deadfred.com. Has anybody been on it? You have? Okay. So people throw out orphaned photos, for photos that they don't know what the content is or who's in it. And they get, anybody can look at this photo and provide information. They might say, well, this photo, I know this was taken in Texas because they have, they're wearing the hat, that people wore at that time in that part of the country. But lots of people have lots of input, right? And so people can let's see what we got on this picture. No, I'm getting, 1 second. Where's my Safari? Sorry about that. I want to open the link. Yeah, okay. Well, I think it opened just behind that window is what happened. Okay, so this is Dead Fred. And, no thank you. And we can see that people are adding metadata to this photo. Right, somebody knows that it was in San Antonio. And so now this photo is essentially cataloged, even though it started out as just random, right? So on this site, right, in this platform, this has an ID number. This is an archive of random photos, but it's still useful for people. I mean, anybody that's been on there, maybe doing genealogy research or something like that. Yeah, this is a useful database.
The amazing thing about this is it's basically one guy.
Is that right?
Yeah. Who has people send him
Oh,
boxes.
he's got the photos.
And
Oh,
he scans them all.
Okay.
Puts them up.
okay.
It's amazing.
That is incredible. So, it's easier to build databases these days. And you can use a note-taking app to create a database, and you can put it on the internet, and people can access it. You can send them a link. I can send you a link to this finding aid because I made it in Notion, and I made it public, and it's on the web. Recently in a newsletter, I wrote about a volunteer that spent like 2 years working on a magazine inventory, and I made the magazine inventory public. So you can go in and see, not the magazines are digitized on Hennepin County Library's website, but you can see an index of the articles and the authors and the subjects. And this is all kind of relational. So we can, if I were to kind of, switch columns, right? Switch the order of columns. You can structure it by, authors only, or you can structure it by subject matter only, or there's just a lot more flexibility. Airtable is another app, another database app, and Capacity's another note-taking app that is like Notion. You can also make databases with. And this data is structured for migration to other platforms. So you can take because it's already in a spreadsheet, you can upload it to, you can put it into Excel, and that Excel sheet can go into some larger database, maybe like MySQL or something like that. So this is what some people are doing with these types of apps, with these types of databases. The People's Graphic Design Archive, started out as a Notion page, and other people added to it. So I'm just going to go to this. You get to see all my tabs. So this is a real entity. Somebody, I'm not sure who, just set it up. Set it up with these subjects, and people are just following that. So anybody can upload some graphic design, some interesting, graphic design content, and put in their own tags. And these come up in searches. This So this came out of like a Twitter question, I believe, but during the pandemic, people are asking, like, where are the Black type designers? And someone just started to put up examples of Black type design, and it grew into this large database. So now, if people are looking for Black typeface designers, there is a place for that. There is a community for it. This is really interesting. She Who Sees the Unknown. It is not in English, but there is English translation. This was a project someone did. They're artists. They're an artist. But the description is here, but it's not necessarily for the English speaker. It's for the people of other nationalities, and so it goes deeper in another language. But it's being inclusive, right, by giving this English description and rationale, like, this is why I've done this, but it's not necessarily for English speakers. So I find that very interesting. This is our vision. This is how we're trying to move in the community. We believe that history unites communities when everyone is represented. And so I think our crew might look like this with respect to the vision. So this is from a cartoon called Steven Universe, and they're all heroes. But when occasions call for it, they will combine, they will fuse. So this character right here is a fusion of this girl and the kid with the sword, right? So they come together to protect their community, right? So I think as we continue to grow and figure out how we're serving our community, it will be this kind of it will be these relationships, right, that get us to archive what's relevant. Right. I brought this out as really a challenge because this is the only box that we have of special documents, right? They're supposedly valuable, but after assessing and knowing that we needed to kind of get our stuff together and fill gaps in our collection, I don't know if they're still as valuable. And so we have a letter from Booker T. Washington in here. But the letter is saying, "Thank you very much for your kind invitation." This is October 17th, 1901. He says, "Thank you very much for your kind invitation to speak in your church. I'm not sure whether or not I can do so. I have referred the matter to Mr. Bedford, one of the trustees in the West, who is very kindly looking after the details in connection with my trip west, and have asked him what can be done. I have also remembered with a great deal of interest my visit to your church and people. Yours very truly, Booker T. Washington." This was, I don't remember the church, sorry. But
the church is in Hennepin County?
it is, yeah. But he's declining, he can't come. This was like the day after he got invited to the White House. So he's like, yeah, I got other stuff to do now.
But the church, I mean, to me, that piece of paper would be more valuable to the church
Exactly.
than it would be to hear.
Exactly. Precisely. Thank you so much. Because some organization, right, it means more to them than it's more valuable to them.
Because that someone took the time in 1900, whatever you said it was, to
Yeah.
ask him, that's important information about that church's history.
Yeah, precisely.
If it's still
Yeah.
And what has happened,
And it has a collection into which that would fall.
Yes,
Looking
yes.
by
what has
itself.
happened with the Lutheran, or the ELCA Lutheran churches is, as churches have closed, they've collected the archives and they have a central repository for that. So they're not throwing stuff out,
Yeah,
they're collecting.
yeah,
So, I mean, that's,
yeah. Thank you so much for saying that. Because we can't take everything,
No.
right? And there are some institutions that will better that will better represent the material and will better handle it. Question.
Well, I want to know what the role of this institution or you as an archivist
Mhm.
is for developing organizations. So for example, I live in the Bancroft neighborhood,
Mhm.
and the activity around the area where George Floyd was murdered,
Mhm.
in terms of the artifacts, the communications amongst neighbors and neighborhood groups,
Mhm.
and the dynamic that has grown up out of that. It may not be formalized, but it certainly has attracted national attention. It's affected law enforcement and policymakers in lots of ways. Is there a role for you to help people understand that they ought to save things, or they ought to collect things, or
Yeah, I
is
mean,
there no role?
well,
Is that
I-
intrusive?
I think, George Floyd, there is an archive for that material. And so it could be intrusive, right? I'm not I know the archivist. I'm not exactly sure what she's collecting, but yeah, it could be. You know, if nothing, you know, if there was no entity there, then that would be something, you know, for us to definitely, you know, definitely preserve, you know, or inquire, you know, who do we? But that's what I think. That's what I mean. I think you have to kind of work with the community. You just can't go in there and, you know.
Well, I think that goes to the heart of your term, community archivism. Some portions of any emerging group has to say, we ought to keep some of this. Or
Yeah.
we ought to keep track of it in a
Right,
way. And
right.
who's going to be the champion for that?
Right.
Who's going to be the storehouse?
Yeah. And I would argue that, you know, organizations and people in general should take on some of this themselves. Because it's not, you don't have to look to a big institution anymore.
Right.
You can do it on your computer, right? You can use a phone to take digital photos and upload them to the internet. And then you have this kind of whole project. Let's say you upload it to the internet and you don't want to continue to, you know, pay for the domain. That's something that we can take on, you know, that a large organization can handle. And you can still make it accessible to people. It's, you know, it's contained. You know, you have to manage the data, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's
To his point about to the researcher, it'd be great to have a lot of stuff archived, but if it's archived all in places that people don't know exist and don't know how to find, or it's not on the internet, or it's on the internet, but
But it's there.
it's hidden, so maybe part of a role of an organization is to not collect the stuff yourself, but like the list that they have for genealogy, where it's lists of all
make
all the
resources available. Yes, they're all resources. I mean, all of these sites are resources. It's not, I mean, it's not just a big internet search, but I think we're moving in that direction, right? I mean, archivism is moving toward, I mean, you have to include digital archives, period. You know, you have to monitor these sites and let people know that they exist.
So where is your physical collection of, is it all in this building or do you store
It
things
is, yeah. We have, all of archives are here. There's some off-site storage for 3D collections. And I think archives might have some, maybe like 6 boxes, you know, off-site. But
And are they accessible to the public or?
yes, they are. Everything we have, there's nothing that's restricted except for the Aquatennial collection. And that is because it is not organized in a way that we've organized other collections. So it was managed by volunteers and it didn't get the same attention. So we're working on that. So.
I'm just sort of thinking about some of the local historical museums that I've visited, Robbinsdale, Golden Valley. What kind of network do you have, formal or informal, that could help people navigate? And I went to a band concert out behind the Robbinsdale Museum History Center this summer, and I found out that my great-grandfather had started the Robbinsdale City Band. It was the oldest continuously operating band in the state. The proclamation by Governor Carlson. So they've got a lot of stuff out there about him. He started the drugstore. That had the first telephone in the city, so people would run if they had a fire or medical emergency. They'd go to my grandfather's drugstore to make the calling.
Wow.
This is stuff I can only find out by going to a local place like that.
Right.
Now, I had no idea that they had that kind of stuff. Just stumbled into it.
Yeah.
So, how many? I don't even know how. I mean, Dinah's got a museum. got one?
There are lots of historical societies in each city, but unfortunately, we don't have a network. Our director and I were just talking about this, a couple weeks ago. Is that we should know what the holdings are, who to point people toward. It would make life it would make research a lot easier.
So I'm going to say two more things, because I actually did enough research that I was able to put a story together for the Hennepin History magazine. This kid ran away from home when he was 13 because he was afraid he was going to get a licking and joined the Civil War as a drummer boy.
Wow.
Oh my
I
God.
look forward to reading it.
It was a year or two ago.
Oh, okay, I need to go back and check.
Wow, that's amazing.
So digitizing stuff is
Mhm.
difficult, it takes time, if you want to do it well. So
Mhm.
for small museums, they're not gonna be, or big places, most of the stuff is not digitized. Here, at the Historical Society, in Bloomington, any place else, but I would think it would be really helpful if those museums and this one and everybody else could put together kind of like a list of holdings. If it's being done digitally anyway, that somebody's putting sort of a table of contents stuff together,
Mhm.
that's the thing that could be linked, and you could say, oh, I see this band and I wanna know more about the band, or my great-grandfather's name is popped up here. That would be really helpful. Then you gotta go dig it out yourself.
Yeah.
At least you know
But you know it's there
Right.
and where to go look.
Yeah,
Because you can't wait for everything to be digitized. So it's-
that's true. Yeah.
Well, you've mentioned the word volunteers just here and there. What is the role of volunteers, and what do you need help with, and where would you like to see more people stepping forward to help you?
Yeah. We have lots of backlog. It has been inventoried, but it's processing, right? Processing is an issue. We've had legacy grants for processing some collections over the past. I hired the last processing archivist, so like 2021, 2022. That's the last time we've been processing. So yeah, that's it. Processing, more inventory, maybe like another level of processing. Some things are just kind of box, they're processed at the box level, folder level. Not everything is folder level, so that'd be a goal. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. I have 3 new students that are taking on digitization projects. They don't have a lot of time, so they're small projects, but every little bit helps. Yeah. All right.
Does this museum, do your archives have an online finding in their catalog or whatever?
All of our finding aids are on our website.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to-
Mm-hmm. All right. Claire's going to say a couple words. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I really enjoyed working with Michelle. I've been here for, I think, about a year now, and I just feel like I was learning something from her. These kinds of presentations. My name is Claire. I'm the development manager. You probably received emails from me. Thank you all for coming and for your support as members. We really appreciate it so much. I just want to let you know about a couple upcoming events. October 14th is Indigenous Peoples Day, and we are hosting a water blessing in collaboration with our Indigenous cultural advisors and other community partners, honoring Bassett Creek. So that should be a really nice event in the morning. I think it's 10 on Monday, coming up in a couple weeks. Also, we have a new exhibit opening on October 19th. It's in memoriam, the residents of Pioneers and Soldiers Cemetery, which is the oldest cemetery in Minneapolis, and it should be a really interesting exhibit. I'm really looking forward to it. We're collaborating with Sue Hunter-Weir, as well as our curator, Alyssa Beatty, to put that exhibit together. It's going to be the 19th at 3 p.m. So that'll be a fun event as well. We're also doing surveys to get feedback. So if you have a few extra minutes, come grab a survey from me. There's a QR code if that's easier, or if you want to do it